What's going on, film fans? Welcome back to our channel. We are the usual skeptics. Here we talk about movie reviews, streaming, entertainment news, all that sorts of good stuff. Speaking of good stuff, we're back once again with our weekly review of The Boys Season 3, Episode 5. And again, speaking of good stuff, Wes, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing well, my friend. Happy Father's Day to you, and happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Um, you know, so what a more what a better gift to have than the boys on Friday, just to start the weekend. So
That
it
indeed,
was uh, it
yes.
was great. So I'm ready to get into it, and I hope you are too, my friend.
Yeah. And so if the title of the video did not make it any more abundantly clear, we are going to full in-depth spoilers. Wes and I have not talked about the episode. He got a chance to see it a little bit before I did. I was quite busy the entire weekend. However, it doesn't matter. It's been a couple days. Everybody needs The Boys in their life from Amazon Prime. It's so good. Best show on TV right now. Anyhow, let's dive right into this thing, man. So, look, The Boys has continued to be and proven, and other shows have proven this before, but continue to prove that weekly release is always better than binging. You know, it gets that, you know, virtual water cooler feel of fans getting together of that thing, or you know, even like with the Mandalorian, for example, that, you know, I'm not gonna say it came out of nowhere, but it came in and people were like, "Oh, what's this Mandalorian? It's Star Wars. Let's check it out." And it built that tent. And you were talking about it for months. The Boys, God, getting the first 3 episodes though, I was like, "Oh, I'm kind of worried. Like, I don't want Amazon testing the waters with this," but have done that
But
before.
they needed it.
They,
They needed the
dude,
three
watching the
episodes.
three, and I think a little theory on why they did that. Excuse me, is there was kind of a Game of Thrones thing happening there where we went 2 years, the pandemic, obviously, but we went 2 years between seasons. So I think they were like, "Hey, you know what? Let's just drop the first 3 episodes. Why not?" But this show, from the first few minutes of episode 1, you were thinking, and I'm going somewhere with this, by the way. You were thinking, what can the boys do now to, you know, top season 1? Season 2, I thought was even better. How are they? I'm not going to say it has to be the best show in the world, but it is certainly the best show on TV right now. Episodes 1, 2, and 3 were fantastic. We came back a week later for episode 4. To me, after seeing episode 5, the best episode probably of The Boys, since I've had over a week to think about it. Probably my favorite episode of The Boys so far, season 1, 2, and 3. This episode is probably, I'm not going to say it's my second favorite episode, but it's certainly up there. This was a great episode. They continue, that's one of the main points. All that to say this was to really talk about how, look, they're able to come in week after week after week to come in. We're now in the third week of the Boys, episode 5, and they're able to come in once again and deliver the goodness. So much tension in this episode, so much good things. A
Great.
little
It
a
was
little
so
step
great.
back from last week's episode, in my opinion, but it's okay. Not every episode has to be, you know, that Godfather level tier storytelling. This was still a great episode. I was not
hmm
bored with any scene. Even some things that you and I talked about in previous spoiler discussions with this season so far is this stuff with the A Train. I'm not really feeling where this is going. Obviously led to a great sequence there, which we'll talk about here in a bit, with Blue Falcon, Blue
Blue
Heel,
Hawk,
Blue Hawk. I'm terrible with names if you haven't
come on,
noticed.
man.
Um, and so yeah, I mean, it once again it delivers a great fun episode. And but I got a kick out of it. Wes, what were some of the standouts for you in this episode?
All right, so like Gabe said it best, man. The boys seasons 1, 2, and 3 have been like you're asking yourself after season 1, how can it get better? How can they do better than this? Then you get to season 2 and you're like, holy crap, this show is awesome. And then you're like, oh man, you waited 2 years, and you're like, what are they going to do? Because everybody after pandemic kind of like, out of the scheme of things with the whole boys and everything, and then all of a sudden they come in with season 3, and it has been absolutely amazing. I love it. Now season 5, or season 3, episode 5, One of my negatives that I did have was what he just touched on just a second ago, was the whole A-Train thing. I do like, I enjoyed the scene. I don't think it was a bad scene. I know that they're doing this for a
Right.
reason, but for me, I really think that the scene with A-Train is kind of a forced perspective on the Black Lives Matter
An allegory for real world.
and
Yeah.
injustice. Yeah,
Right.
for the
Right.
like for what has been going on.
Right.
Okay, I don't want to get into that or anything like
Right.
that. I'm just saying I think that it was forced a little bit. To me, it seemed a little bit forced. Seemed a little bit like, we're gonna shove this in your in your face a little bit. I didn't really need it, but I mean, it was a fun scene.
But the
Like I
boys
said,
as
I
a
really
whole, ever since season one, has been able to reflect and become
excuse
an
me.
allegory for real world things, and that's one of the notes I had took down here was that this episode, and you just touched on it, the BLM stuff, and with his name again, sorry.
Blue Hawk.
Blue Hawk being like, no, all lives matter, and things like that, and it's,
Yeah, and then he
again,
says
we're not
soup lives matter. You know
right,
what I
and then
mean?
we're
Like,
not getting in any of the politics of it, but to ignorance is bliss, right? And for you to be able to, I thought the scene worked as a whole. I thought it was a great scene. I did.
no, me too.
And
I thought it was a
right,
great
right, right,
scene.
right,
I just felt like I said, I felt like it was just a forced perspective on things, and that's it is what it is.
right.
But I love that actor. Like, I don't know,
Yeah,
if it, like, that actor has been in like one of my wife and I's favorite shows. It's where we got our son's name, Declan, from it. He
right.
played Declan's brother on Revenge. So he's a great actor, and I really do like him as an actor. It's nothing, against him. I just felt like, okay, we've got this out of the way. Like, let's get to the meat and potatoes. So,
Like his
other
story's not as important to you.
correct
His story's not
to me.
important as to maybe Frenchie's little side, which we'll talk
Oh yeah,
about later,
yeah,
I'm
man.
sure. But something
Yeah,
like another one of those, because we have an overarching plot now, which is Soldier Boy. Again, we'll talk about later, but Soldier Boy is the MacGuffin. We actually have something in the boys, even though seasons 1 and 2 were great, but this season's is actually has a MacGuffin, if you will, of Soldier Boy is that piece of the puzzle to stop Homelander. Homelander has to be stopped. That's been the whole through line
hmm
of these first 5 episodes is how do we stop Homelander? Well, Soldier Boy is that thing. So with all that, you got the Frenchie, kind of side play. It kind of ties into the main
yeah.
narrative of these of the
Well,
season.
I mean,
But
you're
yeah,
you're looking at, let's talk about Frenchie and Kamiko and
yeah. Speaking of
their
that,
whole
yeah,
thing, like their whole thing building up to this whole scene
so good.
in this
Yes,
episode, man.
yes,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
right.
right here.
Yes,
So this
love
whole
that.
thing leading up to it, where you just wanted, people, I feel like that have watched the show really wanted these two to make it and to get
Right,
together, and for them to break out into, I did a
a
little bit of
musical
research on
number.
it, but it's I got Rhythm from the
Yeah,
musical Crazy Girls, or
hmm,
Girl Crazy, from the 1943 musical.
right.
So but great. I think that
Hilarious
both
scene.
of them did an amazing job. I think that the whole concept of them doing a musical and going through it, which I love musicals. I love, everything from Rent all the way down to, what's the last one that I watched? The Greatest
Greatest
Showman.
Showman's a
I
great one.
watched
Yeah, I
a
was about to
bunch of
say
them, like I love the Sing movies, like
Moulin
all those,
Rouge,
like
Les Mis.
Moulin Rouge. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like great musicals, and I felt
right.
like I was just like, oh man, like I love this. I think it's great. And
May I
you know
interject right here because
mhm,
you touched on this, and I feel like I'll forget if I don't say it now. This scene, which you can see here, the whole musical number, I thought was a fun scene. It made me laugh, and I thought it was great. I
yeah,
will say this, and I might throw you a curveball. If it went any longer, I would have been like, okay, this is a little A little
Oh,
weird.
I completely agree. No. I
It
completely
was the
agree. It
perfect,
was the
the
yes. That's what I was about
perfect
to say. It
amount.
was
Like,
the perfect
right.
amount, and
Thank goodness
the
too.
way it just
Right.
threw into the story, and then she
It might have been
leans over,
25 seconds. Yeah. Or 30 seconds.
she
Right.
leans over and
It
kisses
was
him,
all
and
on
you're
her
just
head.
like,
Right.
okay, now it's a mind fuck though,
Right.
because basically he just gets up and leaves, and you know that he is feeling like all the butterflies inside. We've all been there. You get that first kiss, and you're just like, oh man, like
Yeah.
this is the
Yeah.
one. And then he walks out, and who does he walk into? You know what I mean? Because
Oh,
the Russian lady wanted him to kill a daughter and and I guess the dad
yeah. Which
of
revealed
that.
a
And
little bit about Frenchie. Now, it's
right,
been a beat since I've seen season one. It's been over 2 years since I've seen it, at least. I've seen the first full season twice. I've seen season two once, but going back and watching season one of The Boys when I met my girlfriend, then now wife, got her to watch The Boys. I rewatched it again. I may be wrong, but I don't recall there ever been any dialogue of being like, Frenchie, here's your dark past. We did know that he'd done some stuff, but
mhm.
like when he said, "Hey, this is just a child," she was like, "Never stopped
So
you before,"
never
you
stopped you
know. So
before.
you're
Yeah.
like, so that there was something a little bit of and brings
And
up a
she
great
says,
yeah. Go ahead.
sorry, like she's she already brought up the fact that you used to be, before you got with Butcher,
Oh yeah,
you used to be the whining, oh, this is too much, blah 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 blah
yep,
blah. He was like, and then you just went off and did it anyway.
right.
You know what I mean? So
Great
just
scene.
it does give you a little bit of his past, and I'm glad that they haven't gone into that. Because I think that it would be,
Yeah,
a little bit too much for right now. You know what
right.
I'm saying? Um,
Yeah, I
but
could
you go
see
ahead
that.
with what you were thinking on
No,
that.
no, you're good. I just look, my favorite character of this series, and I've said this before, and this episode just it just keeps it just no the word I'm looking for, but it reinforces my thought and opinion that Marvin, to me, is Homelander's great. Anthony Starr does great. I think I said in a couple of videos ago, I was like, hey, I found out who's British. He's not British. He's a Kiwi. He's from New Zealand. So I apologize. I didn't mean to say British. So I've got to walk back my comments on that. I apologize. He is from New Zealand. My apologies. Anyway, and so is Carl Urban, by the way.
Hmm.
But one of the things that I thought worked very well in this episode, speaking of Frenchie, is Kimiko. And look, The Boys has surprised me. I have been shocked. I have been, dude, the first 10 minutes of the first episode of the season, you're going, oh my God, that's a giant penis. I mean,
Right? Yeah.
this show continues to shock you. It has that shock value. There's the best dramatic moment that I think so far in The Boys was I can't remember the episode, but it was in season one where about the plane. It was talked about this season so far, past couple episodes, but where Maeve is like, "Hey, you gotta get these people out of here." He's like, "No, I don't. I'm Homelander. I can do what I want, right?" And he's like, "No, I'm gonna let these people die." And he did. And that to me was such that to me was when this show was good. I was like, I'm liking the show. It's good. Once that scene finished, I was like, this is now a great series. This is now a
Yeah.
series that is going to pull no punches, is going to come
Because they
full.
didn't let you think that
No,
heroes are always right. Do you get
exactly.
what I'm saying?
And I love
They made
that.
you think that heroes are
Right.
not always
I
correct,
love
and they
that.
don't always do
Yeah.
things
And, and
that they
and
should.
and going back to like you're saying, it brings that shock value when Homelander does something and you're like, oh my. And I mean, now we just expect it, but
Yeah.
the thing is, the writing is so good that it keeps you on your toes. But anyway, in saying all that, this show has done a lot of things for me. Right? It's great. And I laughed a lot in this episode. There was a lot of great funny bits. The great Seth Rogen cameo, which we'll talk about later.
Oh yeah, no, we're gonna get to
Yeah,
it.
we're gonna get to that. But one of the things that I mean to talk about is this show has yet to make me get emotional. Right? I don't cry in a lot of stuff. Very rare. I'll get choked up. I'll feel a little, you know, I'll feel a little,
That's because you ain't a
you know,
man, son. You gotta cry, bro.
you gotta
You gotta
cry,
have you a
man.
good
You
cry.
gotta let it out. Gotta let it out. I choked up when Kimiko smiled. She looked at her wound and was like,
Oh yeah.
I can,
Yeah, bro.
I mean, it's giving me chills right now thinking about it, because they foreshadowed this and been talking about this for about two seasons now. I mean, I know she came up in season 1, but it wasn't really till, I can't remember when it was in season 2, but when she was like, I'm tired of doing this. I hate who I am. This is terrible. And in the last couple episodes, it's been foreshadowing and her talking to Frenchie about, let's move away. Let's get away from this. I don't want to be this monster. Right. And,
Right.
you know, it's when she looks at that wound and she smiles, she says, hand me something heavy. And she can't even pick it up. And she is in pain, but she's like, wait, I'm in pain. Like,
Smiling
and she's
smiling,
able, the
like,
actress, I don't know her name and forgive me, but she's done such a great job at, dude, for an actor to be able to communicate without dialogue, there's something. Now, being in film school, that's one of the things that we learned. I didn't go to school to become an actor, just want to let y'all know. So I'm the last person you should ask. But we, in taking directing classes and things like that, we understood and talked about, you know, not every time, but most of the time, you know, when you can show and not tell, that's great. And for a director to get that out of that actress playing Kimiko, the fact that she's not even able to, I mean, she speaks, but her character doesn't. For her to be able to communicate that feeling, it got me, man. And I'm like,
oh yeah.
my God, it was such a sweet
For
moment.
her to have no powers, man.
No.
Like, I just, you know, that, like you said, it was
Yeah.
foreshadowing. And
So we've seen it coming.
you know,
I mean, we've seen it coming.
it's just, but you know, saying that to say this. So now we know that, you know, this took everything into full circle, kind
It
of.
did.
With the soldier boy, you're
Answered
just
a lot
like,
of questions.
okay, so he's the weapon.
He's the
They
weapon.
made
I
him
think they've made
the
that
weapon.
very clear. Like,
Very
no,
clear that he's
Soldier
the
Boy's the
weapon.
weapon. Right. And so I don't know if it said this. I mean, I think there was a lot more. I need to go back and watch the episode again. It was so good. I need to see the scene again with him and his, I guess, ex-girlfriend, Crimson Countess, or it's the actress from
Crimson Countess.
Walking Dead. I can't remember her character in The Walking Dead. Lori Holden, I think, is the actress name. But I think there was some dialogue in there that we should not sneeze at about her. And I think that I'm maybe mistaken, but I think he was the first soup. Am I right on that? Was that in any dialogue or anything? Wasn't Soldier Boy the first?
I don't know. I don't know if he was the first. I don't think that he was
or maybe
the first.
maybe the common compound V came from him,
Oh.
right? Or maybe he wasn't genetically created, bro. How crazy would that be?
Yeah,
because in season 1, but anyway, yeah, go ahead.
So
We'll theorize later.
So here's what I'm thinking right now, because I wanted to get this off my chest too, because it happened in the last episode and I forgot about it until now.
Ooh, okay.
But dude, while they're in Russia, I don't know if you've seen it or not, which how could you not? But like, I love the difference between America's heroes,
yes,
and them, and how they view them in Russia.
In Russia, yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
The posters and
the posters. Yep. You've got
I looked at those.
The paintings on the wall of like Homelander eating people's heads, and like Maeve as well. And you know what I'm saying? Like
Huey.
How they perceive our heroes compared to, you know, what they have. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I was like, this is brilliant. Like, because this is how it is sometimes. Like other people view America as not a good place. And just, you know, to see that where it's like, holy crap, it's visual, because the first thing that whenever you see the scene opening up is whenever they're in Moscow and you see like Homelander with laser eyes, and it says, you know, it says something in Russian, but you know, it can't be good. You know what I mean?
No, so, absolutely not.
But I just want to get that out, because I was like, dude, this is great, because this is how it really is.
Really is,
you know?
yeah. And Homelander knows that. He even mentioned it when he was with that interview guy, which we've seen him several times already this season. Was he's sitting there in the interview, and you know, he's just like, oh yeah, everything's okay, everything's all right, nobody has to worry. And to me, that in and of itself reflected a lot of real world issues. Just look at the pandemic. I mean, again, we're not getting into politics, but I'm just saying that scene of him, don't worry about it, everything's fine. Go to your restaurants, go to your movie theaters, right? Do this. That's
Yeah,
such
we got it. Don't
reflective.
worry.
Right. There's been no, I can't remember who said this, and I'm drawing a blank, and I should not be because I know it's on the tip of the tongue, teeth of the lips, little Jack Black quote there. But who was it that said, it was a real figure, but said there's been no scarier words than we are the government and we're here to help. Right. It's kind of got a little bit of that type of flavor in it of
Hmm.
Homelander. Oh, everything's okay. Well, us as the audience that know Homelander, it's like, dude, no, things not gonna be
Yeah,
okay.
no, it's not.
But speaking of Kimiko, Frenchie, Soldier Boy, all that kind of stuff. This episode, so last episode, I thought, again, the best episode of the series so far, in my opinion, for many, many reasons. If you want to go see that, you go back and check that out. But just to quickly say, it was a lot of story, whereas this episode, yes, it pushed the narrative a little bit, but it was more character development, and I think that was a huge standout for me. And I think an episode can do a lot more than just one thing. It can do a lot of things to stand out. Whereas last week it had our main characters going through things in service to the plot, and that's how it's supposed to be. I mean, that's just script writing 101, right? But this episode was more character development had with
For everyone, though.
everybody. That's what I'm saying.
You're talking for everyone.
I
Okay.
literally have that in
So,
my notes. Character
I say
development for I have it
everyone.
right here. Yeah.
So
Everybody.
So I mean, you're talking everybody, all the side characters. You're talking all like,
Yeah.
here's the notes I've got. I've got like everything that I've got is on Mother's Milk, Huey, Starlight,
Mother's
Soldier
Milk.
Boy, Maven
Yeah.
Butcher, Ashley, Deep, A Train, Seth
Ashley.
Rogen, Paul
Seth
Reiser, the
Rogen.
legend.
All right.
Like, bro,
Great. Dude,
like
it was kind
I'm
of funny
telling
seeing
you,
him. Yeah.
it was a great character development.
Let's talk about Ashley for a second. Ashley, there was a great moment there where she's frightened. She's absolutely, utterly terrified.
And you can see it whenever she's talking to Starlight.
Right. And
I have that in my notes too.
Right.
You can see it. You're like, oh, she's about to break. She's about to do it. She's about to do it. And then she's like, and you see her just change. And she's like, I am the CEO. You need to make that appointment.
Oh, yes.
Get out of here, homie.
Quick theory with that. I think Ashley, there's a reason she's been around since the beginning. I think that she is going to do something to stop Homelander. I really do. I'm going to say it right now. I could be wrong. This show is so unpredictable. It's basically pointless to go in predictions because I guarantee you 9 out of every 10 of those are going to be wrong. We can be like, are you going to see a large scale penis in the next episode in the first 10 minutes? No, absolutely not. Okay. Are you going to see a miniaturized soup enter the urethra? Absolutely not. And here we are. So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of stuff. So I do believe Ashley is going to be doing, something in order to stop Homelander. So that's just going to be remain to be seen. With Kimiko, I don't think that it's permanent. I think there will be a way to. I mean, we don't even know about Soldier Boy's powers. We don't even know what it is.
Here's what I think.
Right?
Here's what I think. I think that Kimiko is going to have to take the temporary compound V to save Frenchie. That's a prediction for me. So
you don't think her powers will come back on their own? She'll have to take compound V. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I disagree. I think that there'll be a moment like in Spider-Man 2 where he lost his powers and they come back when he has to save MJ from Doc Ock when they're sitting in the restaurant. I think it'd be a moment like that. But I mean, we've been wrong before. The boys have surprised us before. But
that's cool.
What were some other highlights? Was that your only negative?
That was my only negative. Everything else is all positive. So I want to get the negative out of the way. My next thing that I wanted to talk about was like I'm trying to move in progression so people can kind of figure out like where we're going, but not go scene to scene. So basically, Mother's Milk and and Butcher's dynamic before they leave Moscow, you know what I mean? Where he's sitting there and he's watching Soldier Boy and all the experiments going on to him. And, I mean, dude, they're putting an AK-47, it looks like, into his mouth and just lighting him up and nothing's happening, putting torches to his neck. And then, you just see, I'm gonna call it Mother's Milk because I think it's way cooler. Sitting there and he's just getting, you know, angrier and angrier and angrier. And then, you know, he comes
Yeah.
over and talks to like Butcher comes over, talks to him about how Kamiko's doing. He was like, you don't give a damn how she's doing.
Mm.
Like, you know what I mean? And then whenever
Yeah.
they get off the plane, fast forward because we don't have to do all that. Fast forward, he gets off the plane. He's like, I'll see you in the morning, mate. And he's like, you know, F you. And then he just
Yeah.
drives off. I'm like, you know, they're going to see each other. I mean, it
Yeah.
is what it is because kind of everybody's entwined. Now, saying that to say this, fast forward, he's going to go pick up his daughter. You know, he's feeling good. And then her stepdad now, his daughter's stepdad is sitting there watching Homelander the whole time.
Worshiping Homelander. Worshiping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Worshiping. And he's like, I don't want my daughter watching this, you know. And he was like, can you watch the language, blah blah blah? And he was like, no. Like,
I love
that's
that
how
line.
I would be, to be honest. I mean, that's how I would be.
Right.
I mean, we both have kids, and you know, like if you know, if that was me in that situation, I would be like, you are like,
Out of
this is
line.
my child, it's my flesh and blood. I don't want him watching this. I don't think so.
And I love
I'd be
that
the same
line
way.
that he gave him. He was like, you know, hey, watch the language. She's just a kid. It's not a kid. That's my daughter. And I was like,
Yeah,
oh
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Marvin's so good.
It's like the big daddy moment. You're like, yeah, I get it. So, but after that, it's like, you know, he sees that Soldier Boy is in, you know, where is it, New York? I don't know. Like, I don't know where the, you know, I mean,
Yeah, I think it's
anyway,
New York.
fictional wherever they're at. He knows that he's in their hometown. And he's just like, I've got to go.
Yeah.
You know,
And we
and
get some flashbacks in there of maybe what has happened, you know, to his family. So there's a personal connection there. I still don't think, I think there's going to be some kind of revelation with that, with the fact that I don't think it was all Soldier Boy.
I don't think it was either.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it is, because Soldier Boy does kind of come off as a douche. So I don't think he's necessarily a good guy either, but they must have made, we don't even know the deal they made. I mean, not in detail. Yeah, he was able to kill his, I guess, ex-girlfriend or whatever. She's like, I never loved you. And he's like, she's like, you're still young. He's like, you're not, you know, like, and he just like lit her up and killed her. But we don't know exactly what Butcher told him, unless I missed that part. So
I mean, that's all I really had on Mother's Milk, besides like the end scene, you know, where he gets drugged and stuff. I got something on that, but we're going to talk about that here in a minute. The next thing that I wanted to talk about was the Huey being a Temp V fiend.
Oh my god!
And like,
so he can teleport.
Seen it coming.
He can teleport.
He can teleport. We figured out what he can do.
Right
now. I feel like that, you know, compared to the, you know, last episode where we got a little hint of him looking at his arm and kind of being all, I was like, we all knew he did a great job of being like, okay, he's about to become like basically a dope fiend for Temp V, you know? But I said, my note says like, he was you know, basically a Temp V fan, and Starlight is a White Claw fiend. So, you know,
that was one of the moments I laughed pretty hard at, because he was like, you want a White Claw? And then it does that hard cut, and she's already like chugging them.
But I love the hard cut. You want to know why? Because we don't need to hear him tell her that he took V, or you know what I'm saying. We don't need that in the story. So they were like, hard cut. He's already told her, and it's a funny moment, but it's a real moment, and that's what I loved about it. That's another thing that I wrote down. I was like, every man has been at this point where they're trying to make right what they knew was kind of wrong in the first place, and being like, she's like, you want points for not, you know, whenever she says that, like, you want points for telling me the truth whenever you're doing something that could harm yourself. And it's like, yeah, kind of like,
because that's what we do. That's what we do.
All of us have been in.
It's like, but the catch-22 is this.
Look at me. All of us have been in that situation, and it's going to happen again. The best thing is like, that's why I love the show, because it's so relatable in that matter, to where you're like, oh, I've been there. I was like, oh, bro, you just fucked up. Like, you really just messed up, bro. Like, you know, because you're doing that, and then he's like, all right, I'm done. I'm like, No, he's not.
No,
He's not done. And then, that end scene, you get it, and you're like, ooh. And I was like, this is the projection of the downfall of Huey and Starlight.
I think
I
so
think,
too.
and that's just me.
I
So
I think she's dead by the end of the season. I feel like her story is coming to a close because I feel
Starlight?
like yeah,
What?
yeah, I really do. I like her. I'm not saying I don't
Ooh,
like her. I like her, but
that's more of a curveball for me. Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
I think she's gonna bite it by the end of the season. There's been too much of her going around talking to people
Maybe
who
she
she
dies by White
thinks
Claw. Who knows?
oh my god, who she
Bro, she was
thinks
crushing them
that
things. I was like,
dude
okay, all right.
down in them.
And he's
But
like,
she,
what are you more mad about? And it's like, I've been there, bro. What are you more mad about? You mad about me taking that, or you mad
oh my
about
god,
Soldier Boy
yeah, it's
still
like
being
what are you
alive? It's
mad at?
like,
Yeah,
and then she
um,
does a typical woman thing. It says, I don't both. It's like,
both,
oh, okay.
everything. Oh, great. No, fantastic scene with them two. Their chemistry is, it was a little heart touching. With
Mhm.
her saying, "I don't need you to save me. I just need you." And I
I just
thought
need
that scene
you.
was great. But I
Yeah.
do feel like her arc is coming to a close. Again, I could be wrong. They can give her something else to do, but in my own personal opinion, I do believe that they are working towards an ending for that character because they've been really highlighting, no pun intended, highlighting and really making it known that she keeps going around against Homelander, which obviously she would, but she's going to Ashley. She's went to A Train in the same episode. She doesn't
Hmm.
know where Homelander is. I'm in constant fear of being like, oh crap, where's Homelander? And
Right.
didn't get a lot of Homelander in this episode, but the scenes that he was in, I thought was great. Let's talk about Maeve. What
I
in the
was about
world
to know
happened
that was
there?
my next one on my
I
list
mean,
was Maven Butcher, and I was just like, all I put was what with question mark and a thing. I
oh,
was like, what is
and you
going
called
on
it
here?
as soon as it showed them sitting there together
Oh
drinking.
yeah,
She's like, I've been sober for 4 months. He's like, yeah, it's been a year. And then the hard
yeah,
cut
dude. I
to them on the
texted
couch.
you, and I was like, this scene, laugh out loud. I mean, it was great. Number one, the dynamic between those two is really really good.
I thought it was
Um,
great. I think it's the first time we've actually seen them in a scene. I could be wrong, but I think it's the first time we've
no, and the thing is, like, I like their chemistry together was really really good, and you're just
really
like,
good.
okay, all right, I get it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Both of them down on their luck, whatever. That whole thing, and you know, it was just fun. It was a fun scene. It was really really cool.
But there
Uh,
was a moment in that dialogue with Butcher that I thought was interesting. We know how he feels about soups. He feels like nobody should be a soup. That's too much power for anyone to have.
mhm,
Well, he told her, he was like, every one of y'all, talking about her. It's like every one of
mhm,
you got to go. So does that
mhm.
mean I don't know, man. You said a theory an episode or two ago when you were like, yeah, I think Huey or who'd you say was it Huey or Butcher that was going to be the antagonist moving forward after
Next year,
Homelander?
Huey
Did you say
by
Huey?
far.
See, I don't
Yeah,
know. I think it might be
because of
Butcher,
the whole
man.
fiend thing. Like,
See,
I think that he's gonna like. I
I
can
don't
see it
know.
happening.
I
I can see
could,
it happening.
but
You can see that happening. Come
I
on,
see
man.
a lot of darkness in Butcher. Like
No, I see
that's
Darkness and Butcher,
right.
but they haven't arced on that Huey being
No,
a temp V fiend. Do you
they've
get what I'm
just
saying?
touched on it in the last
They've
few
just
minutes of
touched on
last
it.
week's and this episode. Yeah. So it wouldn't surprise me. Like I said, with the boys, nothing surprised me. That Seth Rogen cameo was fantastic. I laughed and I thought it was
Oh
funny
my
because
god.
he tweeted out the other day. What was it? What was his username that she called him?
Oh, I can't
Sir
remember. It was
comes a
something.
lot.
I
Is
tried to
it?
remember it, but I
I
couldn't.
think it was
But I was like,
Sir comes a lot.
yeah,
Like
yes, that's it. That's it.
779 or
Sir comes
something.
line. Duh, 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 duh.
He tweeted that and I was like, "Oh, that's pretty funny." And I liked it, but it was zero context. It was zero context.
Bro, it's
And
hilarious. I wrote that down
oh
on my
man,
notes. I was like, Seth Rogen, hilarious, great,
it
hilarious.
was perfect.
Um,
Perfect. Who is
then
a producer on the show? If any of y'all did not know,
oh yeah,
he was one of the people to shepherd this entire series. So thank Seth Rogen.
yeah, exactly.
uh, but
And his masturbating self.
oh my god,
Um,
he was like,
so Yeah, he's like, what happened? No. Right, it was great. So, oh, so
Was
talking
it
about
good?
that, and then
That was
but
good.
after the Maeve and Butcher scene, and then you go straight in to Maeve watching his.
Oh,
That's whenever
totally forgot about that.
she was
Yep.
watching Homelander on the thing, and he's like, "Go out." We've already talked about it. He's like, "Go out, go to the movies, blah blah blah," and then that whole scene, what I had written down, I
It's
was
great.
like, like, what's his name again? Like, I'm sorry,
Anthony
I'm
Starr.
not good. Anthony Starr.
Anthony.
Whenever he comes into the scene, that entire scene, the whole time, I got nothing but American Psycho
Yeah.
uh vibes. Like, it was
That.
brilliant. Like, it was
Yeah.
awesome. Like, literally, just the way he he's like, I can smell him on you. He's like, what do you have
Dude.
up your sleeve?
That
Blah blah
Patrick
blah. I'm like,
Bateman
bro,
vibes.
it
Yeah.
was so maniacal and just
Riveting.
clinically. He's like like he's so on
Calculated.
point,
He's so
calculated.
calculated.
Yeah, dude.
And
And
it's
it was
scary.
just brilliant. Like, I was like, this is
He's the perfect
awesome.
mixture of, I don't know what to call it. He's a psychopath. He is a narcissist. He's super smart. Don't I mean, let's call it like it is. Homelander is a very smart individual. He knows
Mhm.
exactly how to push your buttons. Now he's made mistakes along the way. He's made mistakes, but I mean, Vader also made mistakes, but I mean,
Dude,
he also went out and committed
you can
genocide. So
legit see him just
it's in
like
his eyes, dude. When
just
he's just,
working her
yeah,
the whole time,
yeah.
dude. And then,
I thought they were
he's
gonna
just
fight.
like,
Was that just me? I thought they were gonna fight.
oh, I thought they were too, but
I
that's the whole
kind of got
brilliant thing of
but
it. It's the
you
brilliance
never
of
know.
it. And he's just
You
like,
never know.
you never know. And then he's, like I said, it gave me American Psycho, like how good Christian Bale was in that. He was that good in this. I was just like, dude, this guy's
And
amazing,
what's
man.
gonna happen with
So
her?
good.
We've had two people supposedly kidnapped in Frenchie and Maeve. We'll talk about Frenchie here in a second now because we're talking about Maeve already. But with Maeve, I don't know. I don't think she's dead. I don't think she's
No, I
dead
don't think she's dead either.
because they just did this with Supersonic last
Mhm.
episode where, oh, where's Supersonic? And then, oh, poof, he's dead off screen. I don't think they're going to do that twice in a row. Not with
I don't.
Maeve.
Well, and Maeve's a
Not with Maeve.
way bigger character
True.
because she's been there from the beginning. If they're
Yeah.
going to give her death, it's going to be on
On
screen
screen.
and a really good death.
I agree, and I
think.
think that's why they didn't show it. And same thing with Frenchie.
Mhm.
Frenchie's too pivotal of
Yeah,
a character to.
and fans love him, and they would want him if he's going to die. They'd rather him be on screen than off screen because that would jit the fans. I do believe, it would jit me. That's how I would feel, and I'm a fan. So it would just really
So
like
we
if
do
they
know.
killed both of them off screen, I'd be like, bro, why?
Did
Like,
you? I'm sorry. I was thinking about the scene with the Deep when he goes in there and they're like, "Here's the new head of security or whatever," and he was like,
head of criminal in whatever intelligence
"Analytics,
or
intelligence,
analytics.
something." When he takes off that donut where it says analytics, it said anal.
Yeah, that's what they did that on purpose, dude. Come on, man. Yeah,
But
and
it's
he did that on
still,
purpose.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I mean, and that
still
too. Whenever
hilarious.
the Deep becomes the head of the, and he's like, "Oh, well, we need to do performance reviews, nothing to be worried about." And then come later, whenever Starlight's like,
people.
"Hey, I need to find whatever," and she's like,
Where's everybody at?
where, and then she's like, "I need," and she's like,
Mhm.
"Well, we'd have to have blah 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 this many people to do this," and she's like, "Okay, well then get them." She's like, "Well, this is it."
Well, we
She's like,
can't.
"What happened?" And she goes, "Well, the Deep fired everybody because they did
They tweeted out
bad tweets. They
against
tweeted stuff
Homelander,
about Homelander."
right.
And she's like, "Oh my god, like he's got to get stopped." So, I mean, there's so much in this episode, man. Like, I haven't even gone into the legend, like Paul Reiser, bro. Mad about you,
Icon.
this dude. I'm mad about him. He is awesome. Like that
Icon.
dude. And the thing is, the pictures on the wall that Hugh was like, "Oh my gosh, is that
Oh,
such and such?"
so
Like
good.
that's real pictures
Those were
of
real.
him. They didn't
Yeah.
have to CGI any of that. Like that is him. Like it was so cool. I was like, dude, this guy
That was
is a
hilarious.
G.
Yeah.
Like, and
Yeah.
it was good. It was really good. He was like, "Oh, I kept the suit." It's like I wore it in front of blah 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 blah. I was like, "Get out of here, man!" Like,
So
he
good.
was like, "Oh, you don't know that?" He was like, "Google some shit, man." Like,
He was like, I was balls deep in so and so, and he was like, Marlon
yeah,
Brando was apparently balls deep in me. I was like, what? That was
dude,
so good.
that he was just good. Like, that was great. I thought it was
Hmm.
hilarious, man. And then, going to say all that, you go to the final scene. You've got Butcher, you've got Mother's Milk, and then you've got Huey. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden Starlight shows up, and then homeboy. Listen, like I said, we've all been in this situation, man. And you know that you ain't supposed to be drinking at a party. And then you're like, oh man, my wife's here. I've been drinking. This ain't good. That's what it made me feel like. It's like,
I
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
I'm the same way. I was like, yeah, that he should have been smarter than that. But at the same time, I thought it was a weird camera angle choice to
oh
purposefully
yeah.
show him drink the water. And
Hmm.
I was like, it stood out to me. And maybe
Hmm.
that's because I'm so wrapped
No, it
up
stood out
in
to me too.
did it? Okay. When
I get it.
when it showed that, I was like, that was an interesting shot choice. Okay. I just went with it, right? And then we see that. So these writers, 3 seasons in, have proven they know what they're doing. I've never seen a bad episode of The Boys. I've never seen an episode of The Boys where I was like, that was a waste. That was Obi-Wan episode 4 and 5. That was lame. That was Hawkeye finale. I never seen The Boys do that. And to me, that's fantastic. They've
No, it's
set
awesome,
such a
man.
high
And then
bar.
for Huey to take Starlight
Oh my
out
God.
away from,
That was
and then they're
hilarious.
sitting there, and he's like, you know, he's just like, yeah, I took it, like, and then he just goes over and he like teleports to the side, and he's like naked. He's like, hold on, just hold on, just a minute. And
Just hang
she's
on.
like, you know,
Yeah.
like that whole
So
scene
good.
was great,
So
and
good.
even because coming back from like whenever they had that scene in the kitchen or whatever,
Mm.
and like he like goes to open the jar of whatever, and he's like, no, I didn't like it, and she goes, you loved it. He's like, yeah, I really did love it. Like,
Yeah.
it was you know what I mean, like, you know
It was
but
good.
that ta-da moment whenever like he teleports and he's like this, like I said, it made me think of like, whenever you've been somewhere and you're like, she's like, do not drink while you're there, you have to come home, you have
Yes.
to do this, and then you call her for the ride, because you're drunk, and there's like, ta-da, like, I'm here, like,
Ta-da.
that's what that scene reminded me of, and I was like, oh my god, this is real life, like
Oh
they
my
are doing it.
God.
So last
Such
scene, like I said,
such a
going
great
back to last
episode,
scene,
man.
that's
So good.
that's where that's at. But so like I said, you get that first glimpse into, like you see about, because that's whenever Seth Rogen comes in. Then you see the Scarlet Countess, or whatever her
Crimson
name is, Crimson
Countess.
Countess, sorry.
Yeah.
And they've got her tied up, you know what I mean? And she's like, you have to let me out of here. She's in the chains, and she's just like, oh, you got to let me out. You got to let me out. And you can see the fear in her eyes, because she knows now that Soldier Boy is coming, and she's like, he's going to kill me. He's going to kill all of us. And you're like,
I thought they were gonna fight.
right.
I
Well,
thought there was gonna be a fight there.
I
But
didn't. I like, and
really?
then I kind of figured that Butcher had her tied up for that simple reason, because Butcher knows that she had done something to him. Now, we don't know what that is. I know that Soldier Boy
Right.
came in and said, what, you know, like, how much did the Russians pay you? She's like, they didn't pay me
Nothing.
anything. And his face is like, I loved you. What, like, I held on to hope that you were coming every day.
Every
And
day.
then, then you start seeing him get mad, the thing glows, and then you're just like, oh,
She's dead.
Dutto, he did. So,
And she was like, we all hated you. And I think that moment really showed that he's probably upset with Soups now. That, oh, my
that,
team turned their back on me. My
right.
government turned their back on me. So I can see him becoming an asset to the team. Obviously,
Mhm.
he's working with Butcher and Company now. So it'd be interesting to see where this is moving forward, which brings a great question going into next episode is what?
One thought
Yeah.
beforehand. Whenever he's walking through New York before he or wherever it is, before he, like, blows
Hmm.
it up, and he's just walking by, and you see, like, all the different things that he's looking at because he hasn't been out
He's
in
been
the
out of
open.
time. He's been out of time forever, and
He's been out of time.
he sees
That's
those
one of my
two
notes too,
guys
is he's just
hugging up on each other.
confused
Yeah,
about
he was like,
the
"That's weird."
the 2 gay guys that were up there, and he's
Yeah.
like,
Like, wait,
"Okay,
what?
what?"
Yeah.
You know, he's like, the earbuds and stuff.
It's things
So,
like that. Yeah, that you're like, yeah, it's
great
like
writing.
that would happen, right?
It's
In a
great
real world
writing.
scenario, that would happen. And again, proves that these writers, they know what they're doing. And again, have yet to see one bad episode of The Boys. I've yet to see one episode of The Boys where I was like, well, that was a waste. They continue. It's the attention to detail. It's one of the things I love the MCU is that the attention to
Plus,
detail is there, but they're
and
great.
not to mention, it's an hour-long episode, but we won't go
Hour.
into it.
No. God, no. Disney, come on. Take notes. From Amazon, really? From Amazon? Come on. You can do better.
Just
But
saying. Yeah, we're not wrong, though.
we're not
We are not
wrong.
wrong.
We're not wrong. 3 or 4 big questions going into the finale before we close off here is, you know, no particular order. Frenchie, we got what the crap's going to happen to him. We got Kimiko. Is she going to get her? How is she getting her powers back? More importantly, because we do
Or
know
is
that
she?
this is, or is she? You know, you never know. We got Maeve. Where's Maeve gone? And for Ashley to say, "Oh, Maeve is at some kind of retreat or whatever," it's like, BS, man. Come on, no, she's not. And I don't believe she's dead for a second. I think Homelander's got her somewhere.
Mhm.
We'll obviously see her because that was they obviously didn't let us see what happened after Noir kind of sneaked up on her. So I don't, yeah, I just don't see them doing that. Now they've surprised us and gave that shock value before, but no, I don't think we've seen the last of Maeve, Frenchie. We got Kimiko. How is Soldier Boy going to play? I think next episode is going to be a heavy Soldier Boy centric episode. I'm not going to say it's going to be all flashbacks, but I do think he is going to be a main character of the episode because now we're over halfway through. I think there's
And
8
how can you
episodes.
go wrong with an episode named Hero Gasm?
Dude,
Come on.
apparently there's something that happens in the comics that's called that. I didn't want to look it up because
Oh,
I don't
I don't wanna look it up because
that's what I'm saying.
it may
But
spoil it.
but
Good.
I'm super excited. Super excited. So it's going to be interesting to see where we go from there. I think Soldier Boy, like I said, is going to become an asset to the team. I do think he's going to play that role into stopping Homelander. I think that plan is going to bite him in the rear. I don't know. I can't remember what I've said before about my thoughts on Homelander by the end of the season because it's so hard to think where do you go after Homelander? Where do you go after fighting Superman, right? Where do you go? And they've already renewed for season 4 as we got news about 2 weeks ago. So see, season 4 is coming. This season is going to end with or without Homelander. I'm just saying I don't know how they're going to move forward. We only got 3 episodes left. I think there's, and I find it
So,
really hard to believe that
I don't think
Homelander's
Homelander is
done.
gonna be gone.
Mm-mm.
Now, the powers may be
He may
gone,
be defeated,
which will be
right?
defeated, and I think his powers may be gone, but that will project what they do with him in season 4. Now, this is just me speculating, you know
Right.
what I'm saying? But what if he does lose all of his powers? Then next season is all about him trying to make it as a normal human
As a
being. You
human,
know what I mean?
yeah, they
And
could
then
try to humanize him, I suppose.
they need him for something because
Right.
there's an even bigger threat. You know what I mean? And then it's like, oh, now we got to give this guy who's been wanting his powers back, who did this and this and this on it. Like, if they do that, then you know it- like it just creates all these what ifs and all this good stuff. But I'm excited about it because I feel
Yes.
like that if they do that and then they're like, oh well, we need you for
Right.
this, and then he's like, okay, I don't care what I have to do to get my powers back. This is what's going to happen. You know what I mean? And then
Yeah. Lot.
I
I
don't
mean,
know,
who knows? Maybe this next
so
episode
much
will
that could
bring
happen.
up, yeah. And look, they're on the right course for a great season. I've had such a blast with these 5 episodes. I cannot wait to see next week. A whole lot of questions going in. That's one thing that we didn't know. Last episode there was not really a lot of as much questions last week as we do this week. Is what is going to happen with A, B, C, and D, and 1, 2, and 3. Last week's episode was more of, ooh, I'm interested now in the whole plot, but it was this episode to really bring, all these questions that I think most will be answered, but at the same time, they're obviously not going to
Because
wrap
it was
up.
such a big episode. That's why
Such
we
a big
have
episode.
that. But
Right.
nothing besides the whole A Train thing, nothing felt forced. Everything was as long as it needed to be. The storyline got to where it needed to be. It wasn't like you weren't just left it was just boom, boom, boom. Here's what's happening here. Here's what's happening here. Here's what's happening with her. Blah, 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 blah,
Yep.
blah. And it's just going
Bounce around
boom, boom, boom,
seamlessly.
boom, boom. And then you're like, by the end of the episode, you're like, holy crap, I got a lot out of that with, minimal time for each people to be on screen.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That nothing
So
felt too rushed in the sense of, I wanted more time with this character. Now, I'm not saying everyone's like that, but in me personally, Marvin is my favorite character of the series so far. And I will continue to say that until someone changes my mind. Homelander's great, Anthony Starr's great, but Marvin is my favorite character. But every
you only
character,
said one good character yet.
Supersonic.
No. Oh my God, Huey. Come on now.
Huey's great, dude. I like me some Huey, man. Some Jack Quaid. I'm digging every character, and when we're watching a scene and it goes to a totally different character, I mean, there are more things I'm invested in, yes, but the writing is so good that, yeah, your favorite storyline could be this, but you could go to that next character and be interested and invested because to me, the writing has been that good where it makes every single, even C-level characters like Ashley, when she's whipping out a Homelander dildo, there you go. And it's like, wait, what?
Yep.
How did that fit in that desk? You're
Or she's
just asking.
commanding the room in the CEO boardroom,
Yep.
She's sitting there telling them, you better laugh. You better tell them what you need, blah, blah, blah. And then that lady was like, oh, the EBITDA is going to be down. And he was like, do you have something to get off your chest? And she's like, you're embarrassing yourself. Get up and leave.
Dude, so good.
And then later on,
yeah.
he tries to use that against Maeve. Remember, he was
Yep.
like, the EBITDA is going to be down, so we need to. And you're like, oh, he doesn't get it though. He doesn't get it yet.
He don't.
And it's going to be way over his head, I think. And then he's going to need Stan.
Yeah, and we didn't see Stan this episode, but you brought up a great point. Is when it goes to us, I'm going to say silly, but I don't mean that in a bad way. But when it goes to a scene with Ashley as the CEO talking to other board members or whatever, it's like, yeah, that's not the plot. That's not the story of the boys, but you're interested and invested because the characters and the writing is so good and the dialogue is such on point. Anyway, Wes, we've obviously give a thumbs up on this episode. It was fantastic. Not my favorite probably my second favorite of the season. Such a great episode. Wes, where can people find you?
Everybody can find me on Twitter at WesRathbone86. Once again, I want to tell everybody Happy Father's Day to those fathers that are fathers, stepfathers, people that have come into your lives that are father figures. Happy Father's Day to you guys. I know mine was great. Gabe, happy Father's Day to you too, my man. Tell them where they can find you, okay?
Yes, sir. I appreciate you, man. Yes, happy Father's Day to all the great fathers out there, biological or stepfathers. You are needed on this planet. Have to be able to raise those kids right, but
Exactly.
got three girls myself. So, but yeah, you can find me simply at Voice of Film on TikTok and or Twitter. Post daily content over there. So come say hi. I appreciate those of you that have followed me over the past couple of days. I appreciate that. And we will look forward to seeing you on next week's episode. Be sure to check out our videos. We got Obi-Wan finale coming out. We got Miss Marvel, another episode coming out, which you can check our thoughts in our playlist down there. But yes, you can find us there. And with that, that's been it. This has been a great episode. Really great discussion. I can't wait for next episode. So stay tuned for more content. Be able to find us here on YouTube at The Usual Skeptics. You guys have a good one, and we'll see y'all in the next video.